Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show Podcast. I'm Cecil Laird.
And I'm Nima Nourani.
That's right, you guys. We are here with a new voice on the podcast. Well, new to you, but super old to me. Nima here is one of actually my oldest friends that I can recall. He lived up the street from me for quite a few years. I actually have numerous memories. He had one of the steepest driveways of anyone could ever have, like one of the most dangerous things kids could ever play on, and yet we would constantly ride our bikes down it and then do like a sharp turn because it didn't aim down the street, it aimed up the street, so we had to do a sharp turn to continue the momentum. But anyway, that doesn't matter to any of you guys. But
the best part is putting the car in reverse and just letting it go.
I would be freaked the hell out. Yeah, that would freak me out. But anyway, so yeah, we hung out quite a bit when we were kids, doing everything from Street Fighter to watching really terrible action movies. I remember seeing like some of those Charles Bronson ones and things like that. But I also, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, but yours was the first regular access to Persian food?
Oh, yes. Definitely would have been regular access.
Yes.
Was it your first regular access?
Yes, it absolutely was. No, I haven't. First and only access.
But you remember that?
Yes. I do. Specifically, there was a meat and rice dish that we had quite a bit that I loved. And
really?
Anything that approximates it now, I always gravitate towards, to be honest with you.
I'll try to get you some, man.
Oh, man, that'd be great. Yeah, no, it's... like I said, I have a lot of memories from your place. We hung out quite a bit.
Me too. I remember your place. Like, every once in a while, I'll drive down past that street and I'll see, yours was the first house on the block. So.
Yeah, it's still there. You see it all the time. I've like been genuinely curious to be that weirdo that goes back and be like, hey, can I walk through the house? Like, I used to live here.
You should. Can I go with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, this is my brother.
You had like a green carpet, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, but it changed, right? Because my dad expanded the house, so we had a big ass extra living room, and then we had the pool with the tile bottom. I loved our tile bottom pool because we could never scrape ourselves on the bottom of it, like a lot of those pools. Yeah, dude, I loved our tile pool. But anyway, yeah, so we hung out all the time, and so we actually just sort of reconnected via social media. I saw, we reconnected via social media about 3 years ago, honestly, when the show, at the end of our first year is when we sort of reconnected, if the dates were correct anyway.
Right. I was moving back out here, and I think we were like, hey, are you still in town? Let's meet up.
Like, of course, yeah. And then I don't think we ever did either.
No, we didn't.
No.
We definitely didn't.
But nonetheless, it was still exciting to hear from you at the time, and so I was happy. We became friends on Facebook, so I was able to at least monitor from afar and things like that. And I just recently saw a post where you said you're looking to do something sort of perhaps in film, in the short film area. And, I wanted to talk to you about it, so we're going to do that after the podcast. But yeah, I basically, you're like, anyone in Phoenix, Phoenix Friends, does anyone know how to do any of this? Or anyone know anyone that knows how to do this? Yeah. And I'm like, actually, I have quite a few connections to people that know how to do this. So yeah, man, let's talk.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's kind of like, when you're in college or high school, you have like all these friends around who kind of don't necessarily have that much to do. And you're kind of like, you probably have a lot of access to free talent and cast and crew, and it's now I'm old, so all my friends have kids, or they're like totally not, they know what they're doing in their life, so they're not going to help me with anything I'm doing in my life, and so it's
they've all figured it out already.
Yeah, right. So I was like, let me put a shout out on Facebook and see if anyone is interested in film and acting, and at least on the side of whatever else they're doing, and that's kind of I was like my desperate attempt to figure out, just get some help.
Did you get other responses?
I got a couple other responses. I got a few responses on that actual post. I don't know if you saw, and I basically very specifically said Phoenix Friends, and everyone's like giving me names of people in like England and New York, and I'm like,
this guy can help you out.
Like, doesn't help me that much.
No, I mean, I appreciate the
but I appreciate it. Yeah. But then you reached out to me as well, and I was like, I forgot you used to do, and I guess you still do film, and I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I'm excited to talk to you about that. But I basically said, when you come to talk, if you want to come on Sunday, I can maybe squeeze an episode of my show out of you.
Yeah, hey man. It's good. It'll definitely be fun.
Yeah, so that's what we're here to do, guys. I'm going to go ahead and do what we always do here on the Horror Show podcast, which is do the horror history of any new voice. So, now, Nima isn't as huge a horror fan as we are. However, he does have enough exposure to definitely fill a podcast. So, let's start at what you consider the beginning. What was your first memory of the horror genre that you experienced?
Wow, that's a tough one. Let's see. You are actually involved in some of the earlier ones.
Okay,
but
we'll get to those.
Let me see if I can get to the earliest.
Yeah,
man, that's tough.
For me, I walked in on a movie that my parents were watching, so it could be anything as simple as that.
So I don't know if it was a horror genre, but I'm pretty sure, and my parents give me a hard time because I always bring it up, but I'm pretty sure when I was like 5 or 6, they took me to this movie with Michael Douglas in it, and it turned out to be Fatal Attraction.
I think that's close enough.
But I mean, for a 5-year-old, that's kind of horror, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
well, she boils a bunny.
Yeah, so I remember very distinctly, like, it's a memory in my head right now of a woman in the bathroom with her lipstick, like, drying shit on the mirror, and I remember as a kid, I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And it totally stuck out in my head, and I don't think I realized till years later that it was Fatal Attraction.
Yeah. That would definitely throw any 5-year-old off. Like, right. Is this how your relationship is?
Yeah, right. Yes, exactly.
So after that, what do you recall?
I remember kind of like, so I didn't watch a lot of horror when I was little, obviously, but I remember, so if you grew up in the 80s, you remember those movies that used to kind of torment and scare the hell out of most of us, and they probably weren't horror films, but like, I remember Labyrinth. Like,
oh my god!
Creep the crap out of me.
Dude, those
David Bowie. That's all I remembered from David Bowie back then.
Yeah, well, yeah, and those orange fuckers.
Yeah,
when they take their heads off.
Yeah.
Like no, leave your heads on.
Right.
No.
And the peach with the worms. I'm like, and
yeah,
like the maggots.
There was for me. There was also like I got freaked out. Not freaked out necessarily, but I loved that like the sort of intonations of fear that Ernest Scared Stupid, because that troll.
Remember that movie?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, the weird troll.
Yeah, dude, and it was all snotty and gross looking. Like, yeah, I didn't want to get taken and turned into a little statue for his, collection. Yeah. There was a lot to be. The Dark Crystal, another super dark.
See, the
movie.
Dark Crystal, like it was. I think anything with Jim Henson, like that was supposed to be like not funny, was totally creepy.
Yeah. I think absolutely, and I think that was probably with purpose.
Maybe.
I don't know that he realized he was torturing kids, but he ended up torturing kids.
Like those creatures, like they're just
the Skeksis, man. Those things are nuts.
And then I remember going to your house and watching. I don't know why Child's Play always sticks out in my head.
The first one, was it the first one, or was it one of the later ones?
I think we might have started with the second one, but then I saw the first one after.
Yeah, I think that was how it went. Yeah, because Child's Play 2 is definitely my favorite. But yeah, Child's Play 1 is definitely good, and actually. Alex Vincent, the kid, the little boy, the mom, and the babysitter Kyle from Part 2, they're all going to be at Mad Monster this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
dude,
sweet.
I'm so excited.
Have
you
they done anything since then?
Let's close the loop.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be interviewing them for the Mad Monster channel too. I'm super excited, dude.
Yeah,
it's gonna be really cool.
I still remember that scene where they pull off Chucky's arm, or he pulls off his arm.
Yeah, and the hand.
It's bloody.
Yeah,
because
the gate in the factory comes down on it, and then he shoves it on the hilt of a knife.
Yeah,
and he duct tapes it. Yeah, man.
So sadly, I never saw. I think I saw Child's Play 3, where was that the one at the military academy?
Yes,
but I don't think I ever saw anything after that.
Oh, really? Well, there was only one more.
Was The Bride?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, there was only one more that was kind of worth seeing at the time.
Okay.
That was what I was going to say. No. There were 4 since those first.
Has there been 4 since then?
Yeah.
I remember The Bride.
Bride of Chucky, and then they did Seed of Chucky, which is easily the worst.
Oh, really?
Easily the worst of them all. Okay. Terrible. But it is very much in the lore. So in order to get to the next ones, 6 and 7, they just came out actually in the last 2 years,
really?
or last 3 years. Yeah, 7 came out last year, and then 6 came out 2 years prior to that. So there was a huge gap, like 15 years in between. Yeah, they were actually, because one of them was Curse of Chucky, which brought it took away the scars and brought him to a I'm not going to say special needs. I'm not going to say crippled either, but a girl in a wheelchair. There we go. That's the way to put it.
PC.
Yeah, exactly. She's in a wheelchair, played by Fiona Dourif, which is the real life daughter of the guy that plays Chucky, Brad Dourif.
Really?
So that's pretty funny.
Nice.
But yeah, so Chucky came back, and it was more like the first movie where he was sort of picking them off one at a time. And then in the most recent one, Cult of Chucky, he figured out how to sort of split his soul up, so now he's in like a few different Chucky dolls. Or he was at the end of the movie. That's not the case anymore. And now Tiffany, the bride, ended up getting herself out of her body into Jennifer Tilly's body. So
Jennifer Tilly continues on.
Yes, Jennifer Tilly does continue on, yes. So anyway, it gets super silly, but it's still really fun. You know, it's still Chucky. It's still the same voice, still the same director and writer and everything.
I think I still remember the whatever language that whole incantation
Do you?
was in. I think I remember it. Let me think. Oh, God.
Because I've done it a few times on the podcast. I'd be amazed if someone else remembers it too.
Adi Dewey Santana.
Oh, so close.
Right? Oh.
That's really funny. Adi Dewey Santana. No, it's Dembella.
Dembella. Okay, yes.
Yep.
God.
It was Ade Dewey Dembella. Give me the power, I beg of you. Iva Melcier de bois chaio, s'accuse te me poir de mort, mortis mela de becor de ma voce, adele por de voce, Dembella.
That's awesome. Your French or your Creole, it's really good.
Whatever that is, I have no idea. But yeah, it's dude, I love that shit. And actually, Brad and Fiona were both at Mad Monster 2 years ago. I didn't actually get to do anything with them for the channel. I really wanted to, but Brad wanted $100 to do a station ID, and I didn't. I was waffling. And then by the time I finally decided to pull the trigger, he had already left. I was like, no, $100 to get Chucky saying, you know, hey, you're watching the horror show. You know, that would have been awesome. But
next
now,
time.
you know, yeah, well, I don't know. Apparently he's not coming back.
Oh,
so.
really?
But anyway, nonetheless, so Child's Play.
Child's Play was one.
What do you remember about watching it the first time? Did it get to you? Did it bother you? Was it silly to you?
Yeah, you know, I was always kind of like, you know, movies always had a big impact on me, so I was like, it definitely got it. Like, you know, yeah, it creeped me out. I was obviously a little bit scared. It was what I remember about it is that so there were certain horror movies I would always get. You know, when I watch a horror movie, I get scared, so I would have a hard time sleeping as a kid.
Really? Okay.
When I watched Child's Play, I didn't particularly get scared to sleep. It was kind of just like it was that combination of intrigue and interest as well as like fear. Whereas some horror movies I had seen was just fear.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have like the curiosity to necessarily see more or, you know, and this was kind of the combination of that.
Oh, okay.
So that was it was actually one of the ones I probably enjoyed more than some of the others.
One of the ones that would generally, you know, wrap you into the genre.
Right. I would get wrapped in and it wasn't like a purely terrifying experience. Whereas some of them were just, I got terrified by and I probably would never want to watch it again.
Yeah. Which ones?
You know, looking back, it's probably like totally like quirky and stupid, but I think Candyman scared the crap out of me.
Dude, Candyman's a classic.
Candyman, I saw like scenes in my head. And obviously, I lived in Chicago, and I remember driving by.
You went by Cabrini Green? Really?
Yeah. Which Cabrini Green? I don't know if any people that are listening that live out in that area or have been out there. Cabrini Green used to be a like major like housing project.
Slum, right?
Slum.
Big time.
Now it's been changed. It's been gentrified, like a lot of the city, and now it's like this like kind of uppity area with like upscale like restaurants.
Really?
I think the building was still there when I was there, but I think nobody was living in it at that point.
Oh, okay.
And they were probably
that would have been awesome to go in there, though. Yeah, Candyman's amazing, dude. The Candyman. That Candyman sort of took over the Bloody Mary legend, right? Everyone had heard the Bloody Mary urban legend. It
was like a different generation.
Yeah, it kind of was. You know, same thing. Look in the mirror and say Bloody Mary 3 times, and then she appears behind you. But Candyman just was like, okay, we're not going to use Bloody Mary. We'll just make it Candyman, and he splits you from groin to gullet. And man, that first movie was so effective, though.
And there were sequels, right? There was
2, yeah. They did Candyman 2 and then Farewell to the Flesh, or something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe 2 was called Farewell to the Flesh, but I know they did 3. Tony Todd, dude, he's amazing. He's so good. I loved seeing him in almost all the Final Destination movies. He played the mortician guy that would show up and tell him it's death after you, you know, like that kind of stuff.
Face, man.
He's really good.
I just see him in the mirror
with the bees coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, right.
So Candyman got to you. What did you feel about like your Freddys, your Jasons, your Michael Myerses?
So Freddy was one. So again, like for me, a lot of these movies, I didn't see a lot of the sequels. I saw the originals, I think, and maybe I even see Freddy at your house. I don't know, but I remember that one.
Possibly.
I remember that one. got to me a little bit, probably not as much as you would have thought, but it was
mm-hmm.
definitely cool. I remember like specific scenes again from that movie,
Yeah.
like the bed scene and like coming through the bed. And,
Yeah, all the blood shooting up
yeah.
and everything. Yeah.
Jason, I don't think I've ever seen a Jason movie.
Really? Never.
I'm gonna get like booed off your podcast.
Yeah, all the audience. Like, boo!
Yeah.
No, that's all right. I mean, it's him and Michael Myers are just like silent killers.
So Michael Myers, I actually really like.
Really?
I like
Okay.
Halloween. I don't know what it is about Halloween.
Have you seen any of the sequels?
So I think I've seen probably more of the sequels than the actual original.
Really? Okay.
I think I've seen, yeah.
Well, the original was with Jamie Lee Curtis,
Right.
and so if you don't remember it, I highly recommend a rewatch because they're doing a new one coming out this year
I heard about
that is actually ignoring all the sequels. This is a straight sequel to the first movie.
So not even the second one?
Not even the second one.
Okay.
Jamie Lee Curtis comes back, and apparently she's waiting for... I guess there was a line in the trailer that no one's seen yet, but a horror con did the trailer, and so people spoiled some of it. But she said, "I've been waiting for Michael to get out for years," and someone asks why, and she's like, "So I can kill him." And it's like, yeah, all right, that sounds cool. It's supposed to be badass. It's supposed to be really scary. So that's a good one to jump back on. You know, if you're a big fan of his.
So what did you think of the Rob Zombie one?
I actually really liked the first Rob Zombie
yeah.
one. The second one was a little bit stupid, but the first one was really, really, really good because I think so anyway. The first 45 minutes is telling like how kind of Michael became this
like
really fucked up kid. Yeah, he's you know, it shows why he ended up killing the family, and then it follows him as he grows up in an institution, and Loomis finds him and grows close to him as a kid, and that's why he's so obsessed with taking him down as an adult and stuff like that. So I really, really liked it. The first one is definitely worth checking out, and the second one literally picks up where the first one leaves off. So yeah, they're both.
I haven't seen those.
They're both worth watching. The first one is definitely really good though.
I probably will watch the new one when it comes out.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be so good. People are all about it, and the poster just came out, and it looks dope, dude. It's really sweet. So. Now, in the messages, you said that you were a bit of a Creature fan.
Yeah, so, you know, and this is, again, going to make me sound a bit like a pansy, but, like Creatures, I don't know why. Creatures, I get more entertained than scared shitless from, because Creatures, to me, are less like... So, anything that could be potentially possible, obviously, I'm going to get a little bit more freaked out by. So
That's not always the case, though. For me, it's opposite.
Really?
Yeah, I don't care for, like, serial killer horror movies, because they don't scare me at all.
So, I don't like the serial killer ones as much. For some reason, ghost stuff, like, those kind of scare me, because, like, ghosts, to me, are kind of like... Yeah, you know, maybe they could exist. Like, you know, I don't know. You know, whereas creatures, like if it's like some like spliced creature, I'm like, well, okay, well, it's probably not.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
show
very
up
much so.
in my under my bed. You know, but
Do you have any that you've seen that you like?
Oh God, I mean, the most recent, like, I don't know if you could call it a creature, but kind of a creature. I guess it's a creature. I just saw It, obviously, recently.
Man,
The
it
new
is so good.
It was good. I think they did a good job.
That was my favorite movie.
And I watched
year.
the Tim Curry version, like probably like a few months earlier.
It hurts. It's not as good as we remember.
It's not great.
No,
yeah. It's one of those movies where you're like, yeah, when you were younger, like you just have like amazing memories, and then you watch it and you're like, this kind of sucks.
Yeah, it kind of really sucks. Yeah, no, that's why I loved the new one, because it legitimately was scary to me at 37 as that other one was when I was 12, which you know, that's a lot harder to do. And he was an amazing Pennywise dude, and the kids were good, and we got to see a lot of really cool stuff. That garage scene where he's huge coming out of the projector is so awesome.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But now, have you not seen A Quiet Place then?
I want to see A Quiet Place.
It's
actually, that
so
one I actually
good.
really want to see.
It's so good, dude. Very
really
worthwhile. And it's already been greenlit for a sequel.
Yeah, I heard like right away.
Yeah, it's so good. It's easily my favorite movie of the year so far.
So that would have been the movie I would have gone and seen it had the Avengers not just come out.
Fair enough. Yeah,
but I really wanted to see A Quiet Place. I just hadn't had a chance to go to it.
Avengers was really good too.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I saw it a couple days ago.
Yeah, did you like the ending? Or did
I liked it. Yeah, it was definitely like kind of a.
The people either love or hate the ending. I don't like it. I'm like, you realize it's just part one.
Yeah,
right?
that's the thing. Like, so I was like, yes, if they were never making another movie, I'd be like, okay, well, yeah, sure, that's kind of messed up, but. You know.
No, I love that they made that commitment, though.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
You know, you got to go all the way. If they had not, it would have been like every other Marvel movie.
Yeah,
you know?
You can't have a happy ending every time.
No.
I don't want to spoil
We've
it.
had 18 happy endings. You know,
Right.
No, it's okay. Everyone's seen it at this point.
True,
it's the largest it's literally it's made more money than any movie ever.
They recouped their money in the first day or two, I think.
Yeah, it made 2 days because it made over like 120 million on day one, and that's like unheard of.
Right.
It beat Force Awakens, so yeah, it's the biggest of all time. It's crazy. But A Quiet Place it's still going. Oh, excuse me. Whew.
Is that? I guess it's considered horror, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Is it?
It's still going strong, and we're like 6 weeks into its release at this point. Everyone fucking loves A Quiet Place, and with good reason. It's literally, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It is literally the epitome of show don't tell. It's what movies are supposed to be. So many movies are exposition. They talk and they tell you what's going on. No, you're supposed to show. Let the actors do the acting. Yeah. Don't have them explain what's going on. Give the audience some credit. And it just fires on all of those cylinders.
Well, because what's in your head that terrifies you.
Yeah.
It's not what somebody's putting on the screen in front of you.
Well, and this one does both. Yeah. Like you see the shit out of these monsters by the end, and they are scary as fuck. Like it is really, really well done movie. And keep in mind, they can't make a noise, and she's pregnant, and so.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, she's pregnant. So like. They're going to have a baby in a world that they can't have a baby that cries. You know what I mean? So it's intense as hell. It's the most tense movie I think I've ever seen.
Wow.
Like
that's saying a lot.
The whole movie is tension. Because the whole movie they can't make any noise. Because any noise at any time will attract the
Is there
creatures.
any dialogue?
There's about 5. There's literally, if you added it all together, it'd be less than 5 minutes.
Wow.
But there's sign language and stuff. Right. But that's not the point. There's only one scene where there's actually audible dialogue.
But that's also an interesting take on, because people always say that cinema, like true cinema, you should be able to watch it with the volume off and still understand like the general sense.
Exactly.
And that's a real film.
Exactly. And oh my god, it's so good, dude. You have to go see it. Take your wife, go see it. Or does she like this stuff too?
She, she not as much as she used to. I think like in college age she used to like horror stuff, and now I don't know why.
Well, this a lot of people don't look at it as horror.
Well, that's the thing, and to me, I mean, I didn't consider it. I know it's the horror genre, I guess, but it's a little bit more thriller-ish, based on the way they're showing, at least the way that the trailers are.
Well, and that's the thing. There's not like a huge amount of gore. It is just tension and like shit where you're like, ugh, because there's times where the creature is literally like face to face with them, and they're like.
Right. So yeah, I'm not a big gore person, but I definitely like tension and suspense a lot.
You actually, that makes me curious. You have a unique perspective on gore, actually.
You think so?
I would think so.
That's true.
I would think so, right? Yeah, I mean, do you think so? So just to fill the audience in, by day, Nima is I don't know, maybe by night. It depends on what shift you get, right?
Both, apparently. Yeah.
He is an ER doctor. Yeah. So you must see a lot of crazy stuff, or you must have seen a lot of crazy stuff. Do you think that might be what puts you off of gore?
No, actually, because I think I was a little bit off of gore before that.
Really?
It's not so much that I get... it's not like I get nauseated when I see blood, and obviously I don't, because I wouldn't be able to do my job very well, but I've obviously seen probably a lot more gore than the average person in real life.
Yeah.
And I could probably tell you stories that would be right out of a horror movie.
We should make a whole podcast about that,
yeah,
to be honest with you. Like,
people cutting out their own, cutting out, eyes and things like that.
What?
Yeah. I probably can't get too specific, because I don't know about, the whole patient confidentiality.
Well, I mean,
but that's general.
HIPAA laws,
That's
you just don't talk about who it is and stuff.
But, I mean, I think... I don't know. I think it's more the disturbing aspect of it that would bother me, not so much the actual seeing the blood and seeing it.
Because it makes me laugh because I actually just discovered a series on YouTube where this guy named Dr. Mike watches medical shows, and like you watch him react to like what they do on the shows, and he's just like he pauses, he's like, okay. We would never do something like that. And
sometimes watching medical shows can be really painful, and it's the thing is like some of these high budget medical shows, I'm like, they've got someone that they've hired that they're paying to give like an actual opinion on what's real and what's not. They probably are either ignoring it or the guy just really sucks at their job. Because
like there's your Grey's Anatomies, your House. I loved House when it
it's funny. House came out when before I started med school, and in the beginning I loved it. I was like, this is amazing. And then once I got through, like, towards the middle of med school, when I would keep watching it, I'm like, this is, like, doesn't make a lot of sense. I was like, this is, like, totally
That's what he was saying. The doctor was like, he's like, okay, they're talking about diagnosing this, but they're doing this. He's like, that doesn't make any...
Why is an infectious disease doctor doing neurosurgery? I'm like, that's never going to happen.
So, all right. So, well, that's what I'm wondering, like, would the gore bother you because of the gore, or would it bother you because of like, it wouldn't look like that.
I mean, no, yeah. I mean, some of the gore, I'll be like, come on, that's like clearly like, you know, fake
syrup.
blood. And syrup. That doesn't even look like blood. You know? But you know, I think it's more just the disturbing aspect. So it's more the psychological aspect that would bother me. So the gore itself, I don't particularly. It doesn't really bother me too much. You know,
Gotcha.
I trained in Chicago in Chirac, so got to see a lot of stuff out there.
So does that mean that you would gravitate away from like your torture porn kind of movies, like Saw and Hostel?
Yeah. So I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head. I think so. Those movies I haven't even seen. So I've never watched Saw, and largely because of that. I don't like that part of it.
Gotcha.
The disturbing kind of torture psychological aspect. But suspense I like I said, creature suspense I like a lot, actually.
Then you would really love A Quiet Place for sure. There's what about like ones like I guess it's in the vein like there was a couple of really cool ones that you guys might enjoy on Netflix. There was one called Before I Wake, where it's about a kid who, when he sleeps, what he dreams manifests in reality. And
I think I've seen it, but I've seen the name. But
it's really great. It just released on Netflix a couple months ago, but he's like it's so just interesting and well done. So I highly recommend that if you're more into sort of the psychological, tense kind of horror movies. That's a perfect one.
Cool. Okay.
But yeah. So now is there? Regarding it, so we've hit on torture porn. You said you like paranormal.
Yeah.
You enjoy serial killer ones, or no? You said no, not so much.
So I mean, the serial killer ones is not so much. I think it depends on.
I mean serial killer, like real life serial killer, not like slasher. Because slasher is a little different.
I understand what you're saying. So it's like CSI type stuff. You know, like it's funny because my wife always gives me. She actually likes that kind of stuff. I don't know. Like I don't like the police kind of investigation procedural. I'm like, well, part of it's like the person's already dead, so I'm like, okay, well, they're dead already, so like, you know, I don't care if you find who did it. That's just me. But it's like, you know, so yeah, I'm not too into that either. That's more just because I get bored.
The one that did it great was Hannibal. The show Hannibal.
So I didn't watch the show. I remember I was into some of the Hannibal Lecter, a couple of the sequels, and obviously, that's another. I guess that's considered within that framework.
Oh yeah, Hannibal is an amazing show because it goes back to the first story, where it's like the guy from Red Dragon trying to track down Hannibal Lecter, but he doesn't even. No. In the first season of the series, Hannibal is the consultant. They go to him to consult about all these crimes, a lot of which are Hannibal's crimes. So it's really interesting.
And that was kind of like Hannibal Rising, right? That movie, remember that?
Well, Hannibal Rising was more of him origins. As a kid, yeah. But no, this is them as an adult. It's the original Red Dragon story, and then they actually did the Hannibal story. They never got around to doing Silence of the Lambs because they didn't own the rights at the time. But it was an amazing 3-season show, and they've been talking about trying to bring it back for years now. But it's so good. It was
canceled.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was, but it was one of those shows that was like critically lauded like hugely. Everyone loved it, which is why it made it to 3 seasons, because it didn't have good ratings for all 3 seasons, but people loved it anyway. So yeah, definitely check out Hannibal.
There's a good actor in it too.
Yeah, dude, Mads Mikkelsen, and the main guy too, the guy that plays Will. Is excellent. The whole cast all around is tremendous in that show. Now, what about obviously a huge subgenre right now, which is actually I think finally waning a little bit, is zombies.
So I just like everyone else, I initially jumped on kind of the Walking Dead bandwagon.
Okay.
I mean, probably a little bit late, probably not like immediately when it first came out, but probably maybe like several months or a year into it. I started watching it, and I kind of binge watched the first several seasons.
Right.
And I don't know, I got a little tired of that too, I guess, because it kind of turned out to be a bunch of the same. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a drama with the backdrop of zombies.
And like for me, like the gore of killing the zombies, like I said, it wasn't like didn't bother me, but I wasn't excited by it either. I know a lot of people were excited by the actual like slasher aspect.
Yeah,
of it, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Like whatever, but you know.
What about like possession stuff?
Like possession
Exorcist, stuff. Things like that.
I don't think I've had a lot of exposure, to be honest.
Okay.
Exorcist, I've been meaning to see. I've never seen it.
Oh man, that's the one. I mean,
that'll
tell you if you're into it or not.
I've heard it's amazing.
It's crazy. It is nuts.
Scary too.
Yeah, and it holds up, dude. From like the 70s,
really?
It actually really holds up. And in fact, they just did 2 seasons of the Exorcist TV show, which ended up being a sequel to the original movie.
Really?
Yeah, it was
I
really
think I heard
cool.
about that too.
Dude, it was great. It had Gina Davis in it and stuff. It was awesome.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen her in a while.
Yeah, exactly. It's been a while since, Cutthroat Island. And
Cutthroat Island. That was kind of the end, right?
That was the end,
that was the way down.
The one that was great was The Long Kiss Goodnight with
Okay.
Samuel L. Jackson, where she played the assassin
I
that
haven't
lost
seen
her
it.
memory. Oh, dude, that's a brilliant movie. But all right, so let's see where are we at. Okay, yeah, we're actually about right. So, is there anything else in the horror genre? Well, you talked about it. Is there anything that excites you that is coming out soon or anything like that?
So I mean, we didn't talk much about like Alien and that sort of thing. I love that.
Okay.
So Alien.
So sci-fi. Horror.
I like sci-fi horror for sure.
Okay.
So like I said, kind of in the creature.
Like the Predator 2 then?
So I would definitely watch the next Predator film.
Yeah, that one's coming soon too.
Right? And I definitely would be up to seeing that.
Did you like Alien Covenant?
Alien Covenant. So I liked it. I don't think I liked it as much as the original franchise at all, by any means.
What did you think of Prometheus?
So similar. Prometheus again. I think I liked Covenant better than Prometheus. Because again, it was more recognizable, I guess. But probably like
as
a lot
an
of
alien
people,
movie,
right? But like a lot of people, like it was still a little bit too like psychological for me. I was like, it doesn't have the same feel as Aliens.
Yeah.
For instance.
Well, since I didn't talk to you at the time, did you like the AVP movies? Alien vs. Predator?
They're entertaining.
Yeah,
that's about as far.
all they
that's
are.
About
They're
as far
popcorn
as,
movies,
yeah,
right?
that's about as far. Like if I'm sitting there and I'm bored and I'm like, I'm going to eat like something.
Pizza.
It's not good for you.
Yeah.
I'll sit there. Yeah, Alien vs. Predator is kind of cool.
Silly action.
Yeah,
Silly
it's just like the fun of watching them fight.
You know what's a good one then? Another good one for you. Oh God, there's a lot of good ones I could recommend, but Outlander is one of the best creature movies. Yeah, it's with Jim Caviezel, the guy that played Jesus. But he
it's a film or a series?
It's a film. No,
Okay.
it's a film, and it's really great. He plays a space bounty hunter that is transporting a very deadly creature when his ship crashes on Earth during Viking times. and so
awesome.
and so
I would totally watch
when
it.
he crashes, the ship sinks. And he barely escapes, but so does the creature. And so he makes it to a nearby Viking village, and the creature starts to attack them on like a nightly basis. And they have all these walls to protect against other Viking villages, but it's just them versus this creature. And then another village comes in to try, and it like the village gets tore up as they're about to come try and make war. They get tore up by the creature, so they like run for help and join up and stuff. Dude,
I'm assuming it's better
dope.
than Cowboys and Aliens.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, that movie was fucking dog shit. Oh, it was so bad.
I mean, I don't want to piss off anyone who loves Cowboys and Aliens and has
There's no. Well, you won't.
I won't.
No, because there aren't those people.
There's
They
no
don't
risk of
exist. No. God, that movie was bad, man. But I do love good alien movies. Like I'm actually halfway through Beyond Skyline. The sequel to Skyline is now on Netflix.
I want to see Skyline because I've never seen Skyline before watching it.
Yeah, it was good. It was, and you should because it picks up after the first one, which I wasn't sure about. Like it takes about 20 minutes before you realize, oh, this is a direct sequel.
I'm sorry, not Skyline. What am I thinking of?
I don't know which one.
Was it Skyline? Is that the name of the original?
Well, the original was called Skyline with the blue light.
No, what was the original? It was like the handheld, like the original. God.
Oh, Cloverfield. Yeah, Cloverfield. I love
that. I have not seen. That's,
really?
Yeah.
Okay, and watch Cloverfield and watch 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Okay.
The one with John
it's all
Goodman.
It's all the same universe.
Same universe, but it's not a direct sequel because it's just in a world where creatures have invaded. Yeah. Which I love. That's great for me. Yeah. Same with if you ever watched Monsters. Monsters was fucking amazing. It was just it was in a world where monsters had invaded and basically claimed a part of the U.S. as like a zone, and so there's two people that have to cross the demilitarized monster zone, and it's so nuts as they do it. God, there's just so many good creature movies out there. I could talk creature movies all day and night.
Oh, man, give me a list.
I will. That's not a problem. So, all right, guys, I think we're going to call this first podcast for Dr. Nima here. and I am going to make sure he comes back because I think a podcast about some of their horror stories would be tremendously entertaining. So while being like at the same time just a lot of oh really like, but that's all right, you know. I'll be the audience proxy. But yeah, so thank you very much for coming and being on, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks.
As you can see, it's not that scary, right? It's just a conversation. No. Yeah. So pretty easy stuff.
Hopefully I'll be able to sleep tonight.
Exactly. I'm dredging up all those old memories. Suddenly he's going to think about Chucky again.
Yeah. Oh God.
He'll just laugh though. So, all right. So thanks very much for listening, you guys. I've been Cecil Laird.
I'm Nima Nourani.
And remember, stay scared.